Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Press Box. Brian Carson here with your co-host Kenny Barner and Kenny V. How's it going, buddy?
It's going, buddy. I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Not too bad. Heavy hearts here for this one. We're gonna do. We've trashing the regular format here, and we're gonna do a tribute to Scot Sechler. But it's not gonna be sad. We're gonna celebrate his life and talk about some good things, good memories, and what he meant to everybody. And we are gonna do after we get done with the tribute. Kenny and I are gonna do a mini football show previewing this week's playoff games and what happened last week, because tomorrow is Scott's viewing and funeral, and we didn't feel it would be appropriate to have the high school football show on Thursdays with with that going on. So we're going to do that tonight, and we're going to bring in one of our guests here, Mr. Timmy Back.
How's it
The
going,
guy
Brian?
that never gets old. Look at his face, Kenny. It's hard to believe, Kenny, but he's like 57.
Hey, it's No Shave November. I'm trying to grow a little something here, but not working out.
There you go. Still got the baby face, buddy. Enjoy it.
Still got it. Yeah, that's what everyone tells me, but I'm ready for some facial hair. I mean, 27. I look like I'm 15.
You got the genes, man. Be happy about that.
Yeah, I guess so. That's one thing to be happy about. But
My wife tells me sometimes I'm 56 going on 85.
I don't think you look that bad, Brian.
You haven't seen me lately, bud.
It has been a year.
No, but I do, before we get to this, want to give a shout out. We had some girls sign letters of intent tonight from Mifflin County. And I knew I should have had this prepared. Let me get their names up. I know one was girls soccer, Aubrey Strohecker, who scores like 1 million goals a season. Girl's good. You ever seen her play?
I have not. Yeah, I haven't kept up with the high school sports other than football and track recently.
Well, yeah. I mean, we usually, have some decent track. JoJo state champ a year ago.
That's right.
But I will get that here. I'm sorry it's taken so long. Like I said, I'm slow and old. There we are. I just wanted to get their names right. I didn't want to screw up. We had Aubrey Strohecker, soccer, went to Millersville University. That's where she signed. Sarah Henry, girls soccer, is going to Pitt Johnstown. Kate Bickert, is it Bickert or Bickhart, Kenny?
Eckhart?
Okay. Kate Bickhart is going to soccer at California, PA. And Haley Sheets, field hockey stud. She's the one going to Lock Haven. So congratulations to those girls from Mifflin County signing for their college, where they're going to continue their education and continue their athletic careers in college. Good luck, girls. Congratulations. Now we turn our attention to what we're here for tonight. And I said, I don't know if you heard the intro, Timmy. I don't. It's sad, but I don't want to make it a sad thing. I want people to remember, the good things and how, Scott touched our lives, and tell good stories. I mean, we've already went through the emotions, the tears, and all that stuff. So, tell me tell me your thoughts. You already have in the article I wrote, but we'll get it out here in public. And on our stream here, some of your thoughts about Scot Sechler and what he meant to you.
I mean, just like anyone else would tell you, he's just a great guy. And I don't think there's anything bad to say about him in general. But a little story, back in freshman football for myself, I was homeschooled my entire high school through high school. So playing freshman football, I was definitely a little worried. And I mean, not knowing the guys, not going to school with them and what they'd think of me. But My first day of practice, I remember showing up and I was able to catch some punt returns and catch some passes. And this coach walked up to me. He's like, man, he's like, you're really fast. Like, where'd you play before this? And he's like, why didn't you play 7th and 8th grade ball? And well, that coach was Scot Sechler. And from that day, he did everything he could to get me in the game and make sure my speed was known. And that's one thing I thank him for. And honestly, if I didn't have him that freshman year, I don't even know if I would have continued football throughout high school. So he motivated me. He inspired me. And he literally brought the best out of everyone, not just myself. I mean, athletes or not, I think he brought the best out of everyone.
And obviously he got you out. Well, you probably did anyway, but he got you out on the track.
Yeah.
He coached you in track too. You were, one of your events was the 4x1, right?
Yes, that was actually our best event. It was me, Nathan Bumgardner, Michael Klein, and Ian McGinnis, and we actually were able to beat his senior year record on the 4x1 that was held for like 20 years. So that was very special to us.
And after high school, did you keep in touch with them at all? And
oh yeah. Like I said, whenever we spoke earlier this week, I consider Scott a real good friend. He was always there for me, and if I needed anything at all, he would, like I said, give the shirt off his back for me. He would literally do anything, and I don't think it was just for me. He would have done that for anyone. That's just the type of guy he was.
Yeah, and you don't find that in a lot of people anymore, because he really was. I mean, we've been saying a lot of stuff, here tonight in the paper, but it was true. I mean, it was this guy would do anything for you.
For anybody. Yep, absolutely.
Because one of my fun things about him is like, and Kenny knows this, when you're a sports writer or whatever, covering anything, you run into coaches who are not very nice.
I'll say jerks. But,
I'll say it in a polite way.
Yeah.
But Scott, no matter what, hey, can you make it down here? Like when I was doing the hotline for Big Louie, can you make it down? Yeah.
In a heartbeat. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, he never said no, and he was always doing everything for everybody.
Above and beyond. That was Sechler. Anything for anyone, and if he had to put stuff down to go help someone else, you best believe he was going to be there in a heartbeat.
Now, you told me in our interview that he got the best out of you of any coach. What was it that he did to get that best out of you?
I mean, a coach that you can have a good friendship and relationship with, they're the ones that's going to get the best out of you. A coach that's just barking orders and trying to get the best out of you isn't necessarily going to get the best out of their athletes, but creating that relationship and friendship with coach athlete, I think that's what it mainly was. And he was just so inspirational. I remember we had our quiet times. During track, there was times that we'd have to sit in the room, take our deep breaths, and just think happy thoughts. And what our motivation was for our goals for the year, whether it was the week, the year, whatever it may be. And that really helped, honestly, the whole team, not just myself. But and after 2 years of doing that, we actually were able to end up beating the record. And honestly, without him and his training and practice, I don't think us four would have got that record our senior year.
Now, speaking of afterwards, you were saying that a lot of people, you play for the Mifflin County Tomahawks. And for those who don't know, it's semi-pro ball. They play down. Do you still play in rec, or you moved?
We are at Kish Park now.
Okay. Because I knew there was a problem with the bleachers and stuff like that, and the little press box Brian built. And,
I was going to say, that's a story for Brian Rogers. But
yeah. But you said about, like, a lot of people didn't respect it or anything, but yet, Sechler would be there coming to the games, encouraging you guys. Talk about that a little.
Yeah, well, I mean, exactly like you said. I think the Mifflin County Tomahawks are frowned upon here in Mifflin County, which is upsetting because it's a very competitive league. And for guys like myself that just love football and have the passion to play, It means a lot to us. So, like I said, a lot of people don't like it, and Sechler being who he is, he made a point to come to our games, whether it was for a quarter or for a full game. He went out of his way and made sure he was there to watch us and support us. And I mean, that right there, that meant the world to me. So, and even 5 years out of high school, he was still supporting me.
And what did he teach you or influence you outside of sports that character, things like that?
I mean, just with everything, just the way you treat people, and I mean, the way that he was with other people, I think that kind of reflected off on everyone else around him, and just the way he was. And sorry, I lost my words there, but he's just a great guy, and I think his aura kind of rubbed off on everyone, and he's just a great guy.
Kenny, what about you, man? Do you have any cool stories on Scot Sechler and your dealings with him?
Oh, most definitely. Professionally, it's like you said, every time you'd go and talk to him, it didn't matter if it was after a loss or if they won. He was always very personable. I don't remember seeing him ever in a bad mood. He was always, very positive. He loved his kids, his players, his athletes. He was a great guy. And one of the things that he did on another level was he took his Mifflin County football team every year to our Super Bowl for the special needs. And the kids just loved him. He just loved playing our guys, and it was always a fun time. You looked forward to that every year. And we got a lot of good pictures and a lot of good times, a lot of laughs. Those are just two things that I remember from it. He was like I said, I don't think I've ever saw him in a bad mood.
I know I didn't. What about you, Timmy? Except maybe that one time you said when you guys were goofing off. Tell that story, because it didn't make it into the paper.
Yeah, let's. I was gonna say, hopefully that wasn't in the paper, but So one day we were at a track practice. We were getting ready for a pretty big meet, and we had a couple of our teammates that were class clowns in general, but they were screwing off in the back, and I mean, a couple of us were laughing around with it, and we weren't taking practice too serious. So Sechler, you could see the look on his face that he was not too happy with the team, and he told us that we can just go home, just leave, just go home, because he wasn't having it today. Because that was Sechler. He wanted you to be 100% in it, just like he was, and he wanted you to care about it just as much as he did. And I respect that. That's exactly how it should be, being a coach as well. But that was probably the only day I saw him get upset. And a couple of us tried to make it right and say, like, oh, well, we'll stay. Can we keep practicing? He's like, no, just go home. I do not want to see you guys today. Go home. He had enough of that, but that was literally the only day that I've seen him a little upset. But he's always in a great mood, and he's always, not that day, but he's always in the mood to joke around as well. Although he is very serious.
One of my favorite stories is I used to love to, he would come on my hotline show every week during football season. He's the only Mifflin County football coach. I don't know how long I did the show. I don't remember, but he's the only one that would come on every week.
Wow.
And if he couldn't make it, he'd send an assistant.
Nice.
But I used to rib him about his Chicago Bears. And one time I had him going where I told him, hey, if the Rams, they were playing the Rams when, I don't know what's happened to us this year, when we were actually good. And I said, if the Rams, here's what goes down. If the Bears win, I'll get a Bears tattoo. If the Rams win, you got to get a Rams.
There's no way. I was gonna say, there's no way he did that.
He said, "There's no way I'm going to get the tattoo because we're not going to beat you." But I always used to remember what I'd love to do is I used to say he was a fan sometimes on the air of the Dallas Cowboys because he wasn't a fan of the Dallas Cowboys. And I'd go, Scot Sechler and his Dallas Cowboys lost. And he'd be like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, I'm sure he loved that.
But yeah, it was great. I have so many great memories of them. I know you do too. But I've said this to people before, not publicly though. This is the first time. One of my fondest memories on how he really cared about other people, and it wasn't just an act. I have diabetic neuropathy, and it's gotten to the point where, unfortunately, I have to use a walker until I can get these special shoes made and that to get around. And when I had to do the big Louis Awards this past April, I used a wheelchair because I didn't want to be struggling with that walker. And it's a pride thing, I didn't want to come in a damn walker. Right. But so I'm in the wheelchair, and he had just maybe a month ago had surgery to remove the tumor in his brain. And he comes over after we're done. And do you remember this, Kenny? You were there.
Mm-hmm.
He comes over and goes, "How are you doing?"
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, the guy just had, I'm like,
selfless.
I even said, "What are you asking me how I'm doing for? How are you doing?
Right.
How are you doing?"
So I mean,
and it was a great time. It'll be burned in my memory my whole life because we hugged and I don't usually say that to a lot of guys, but we said we loved each other. And I'm telling you, as a sports writer, you get to know coaches, but most of the time it's just no, Scott and I didn't hang out. We had our own circle. But it became more than just that, this is my job. When we were together at the show or whatever, we were really close and talked about how our families was going. And I always said that Malik's too chicken to race me because I dust him. And is Ian going to get on or can he make it?
He actually just shot me a text a little bit ago. He said he's not going to be able to make it tonight.
Because Ian McGinnis, were part of that record 4x100.
Yeah, I was the lead leg and he was the closer. He cleaned it up for us.
Well, see, what you didn't know is that Kenny and I were going to challenge you and him.
Hey, I would have loved that.
To a race.
I would have loved it.
Now I got to get a motorized chair first. Like maybe those ones in that. You ever see the old movie Silver Bullet?
Get a little turbo on it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Me and Kenny were going to dust you and him.
There you go.
I think that's why he didn't come on, because he was afraid.
He was a little scared. I kind of think that was the reason too.
So, how did he? Even after this, when you found out he was sick and all that, the way he handled himself was so inspirational. What are your thoughts about that? Because I thought he handled it with such class and dignity.
Yeah, to be honest with you, whenever I first heard the news, I mean, obviously I was devastated, and but he would keep posting pictures. He would keep in contact with me. He looked good. He looked healthy, and I'm just like, maybe this isn't so bad. And then he ended up kicking it, if I'm not mistaken, and then it ended up coming back way worse. And yeah, that was tough. But yeah, I don't know how anyone could keep the mood that he had and being uplifting the way he was through that whole process. I mean, that should be an inspiration to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
No, and I just want to remind everybody, tomorrow they're doing the viewing and then the service right after. So it's going I think 2 to 6 is the viewing at Calvary Bible,
Yep.
and then they'll have the service. And that's why Kenny and I tonight are going to spend a little bit of time on high school. We usually have a high school football show. If you're tuning in for the first time on Thursdays, we're not going to do that. We're going to have it tonight out of respect for the Scott tomorrow and what's going to happen. And I personally, Kenny and I really don't feel like doing a football show, with something like that. But have you taken his influence out in your own life? I know you're like one of the old men of the Tomahawks.
Hmm.
Do you find yourself like if you're helping the younger guys out, that some of him is rubbing off on you?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I might not see it, but just everything that he's ever taught me, I try to be like that. Like I said to you a couple of days ago, like that man was my role model. I try to be like him in every aspect, and I know I fail in many ways, but yeah, he was a true role model of mine, and I strive to be the man he was, even half the man he was.
What about you, Kenny? Has he influenced you in any way?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, just the way he went about his business, even after he was diagnosed with it, he still kept coaching. He did it. He did it for the athletes. He did it for the kids. He you got to admire that. And when you have a bad day, you think about how Scott what he was going through, and it's like you don't have any reason to complain because look what he's doing. It was amazing. Like you said, he did it with dignity. He did it with grace, and I just wish more people could be more like him. And we all could be more like him. World would be a lot better place.
That's a fact.
Absolutely. Well said. I know he shows me how far I have to go. I really have far to go because I sometimes don't love my fellow man. I can be pricky. I can. There's just no other way to put it. We won't get into that, but I was in a pricky mood after the election.
I think we all were there, but
Yep. I don't know how. That's all I'm going to say. It's a tribute to Scott, but I don't know how Pennsylvania could have elected an eggplant to go to the Senate, but we did.
Oh man,
that's it. That's all I'm going to say. Shame on you, Pennsylvania. But hey, what do you think has been Scott's biggest influence on you in the way you carry yourself, Timmy?
Yeah, I mean, just his influence on me is just from track and just seeing how the man he was, and not even as a coach, just as he was to a husband to Tamara, and the way he was with his kids, the father of his kids. He was just amazing. The way he treated everybody around him. I mean, it rubs off on you, and it's inspiring to be like that and want to be like that. And like you said, we have a rough side to us sometimes, and it's very hard to compete with that. But I don't want to say competing with that because that's impossible to be the man that Sechler was. But yeah, I try to be similar to that, and at least half the man he was, with just being there for anyone at any time, and loving everyone around you, whether you know him or not. He didn't have a mean bone in his body. He was the nicest guy, and that's the inspiration he had on me, is just how he was with everyone around him.
Yeah, because I really do. I admit I have to put some effort towards it to try to be like him. But he definitely, when you meet him and his attitude, his smile, everything, you naturally take a part of him with you because it rubs off. It just does. And I'm like I said in my story, and I meant it. It was one of the hardest stories I've ever had to write because there was so much emotion and feelings. Like Scott Gantz and I, we couldn't get through the interview with a dry eye, him and I. And it was, and I never really get stressed out writing. It's my therapy. But that one I did because I wanted him to like it. I wanted Scott up there looking down at us to like it and to honor him. And I got a nice text from Scott Gantz this yesterday or this morning saying that it really made me feel good, saying that Scott would have liked it. So that was what I was going for. But you wanted to please the guy. That's my long way around of saying that it rubbed off. He did good things for so many other people that you wanted to do good things too.
Right.
And then I ended up, for a while I'd be that way, and then I'd turn back into my old grouchy self. that was it. What about you, Kenny? How have you found yourself some of his traits rubbing off on you as you go about your day?
Oh, most definitely, and especially when it comes to the coaching the special needs kids. I saw how he was at the Super Bowl and how just all the kids gravitated to him because he was so happy and so accommodating to our kids and stuff, and it showed a different side of coaching, and that you don't have to be tough, or you don't have to be, you can be friendly, you could have fun. And not that I was tough on my kids, but it gave you to see him interact is just how you want to react and interact with the kids too. And I find myself when things get a little hairy sometimes with the team, it's like, what would Scott do? He would probably just laugh it off and just talk to him. And a lot of times that's what I did. So yeah, he's been an influence on that part of me too. He's just like I said, he's just an all around great guy. And when some people have these words about different people and how they were a great guy and stuff, you can honestly say that he was a great guy, and there's no denying it. And he will definitely be missed.
Yeah, not to bring everybody down, but that's the part that's going to get me is that he's not going to be around for track. He's not going to. I'm so I was so used to him being around. Like Tish said, Tish McClay, he was always there. He was always at the school, coaching something or doing something, and it's going to be so strange without him there, especially now as we're coming up to indoor track and outdoor track, which he was such a big part of, with Scott Gantz. And I don't know. I think it teaches us, and I'll get your opinion, Timmy. I think it teaches us, and it's a shame that this has to happen to teach us this, but nothing is guaranteed. You've got now. That's what you've got. Make the best of it. What about you? What are your thoughts?
Oh, you got me in my feels now. I started thinking about all the memories I had. Now, since you said track is coming up around, that is, and you're absolutely right. Like, he was around everywhere. Every sport, every year, all year round at the high school. Like, that got me thinking. It got me in my feels. So no thanks to you, Carson.
Yeah, sorry, man.
That's all right.
But it does teach you, doesn't it? And it's a shame we have to have people die to do this. That, make the most of your day. Make the most of your time. We act sometimes like we're never going to go. We're going to be here forever. And that's not the case. I don't mean to be morbid here or doom and gloom, but it's true.
Yeah, and that's the one person in my life that I would never expect to go this soon and at such a young age. But like you said, I mean, it happens, and we need to be prepared for that. But he was the closest person in my life that I lost. I haven't lost many family members or anyone that close to me before. That was the closest death I've had in my lifetime, and it was rough. It's hard, but sharing good memories about him definitely it helps and brings a smile on my face just thinking about the good times that we've had about him with him. So
Absolutely, and we've mentioned this about his grace and how he handled it. And on senior night when he's in the cart with bringing Josiah out, and you could tell how sick he was and the emotions that were going there. Kenny, you were there. Was there a dry eye in the place?
No, not a bit. I mean, from the people in the stands to the sidelines, I mean, people that I've seen that has always been so, stone faced, you know what I mean, or just no emotions, but they were full of tears, and it was just it was a kind of a bittersweet moment because you were glad to see him be able to do that, but you also saw how bad he was doing, and it was just very emotional.
Yeah, but the outpouring that you have, that's how you know you've lived a good life.
Mm-hmm.
When so far, like we've all talked about here, that you, I know for a fact I will not have that many people say that good about me. There might be some, but the way he gave of himself and everybody, it's like we said over and over again. I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but I will pay you money if you could find me one person that says anything bad about him.
Mm-hmm.
Won't happen.
Yeah.
And I think that is the true test of a person. And after they're gone, what are people saying about them? What is their legacy? And he coached so many kids, from you, Timmy, all the way up. That I mean that he's never really going to be gone.
Mm-mm.
Because he's always going to be in us, the people that got the privilege to know him. Like I said, know him and be around him. Are never going to forget him.
Nope.
Never. And there's sometimes I caught myself lately, and it's very good. It's very big improvement. I caught myself going, hey, what would Scott do in this situation? He would smile instead of pounding his fist on the table when his Rams are losing with 44 seconds to go in a game. That means nothing really in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, so I know I got a little Bears helmet here I have in my den.
Love it.
I keep looking at that for him, but a couple more if you got any. I know you do, but that you want to share some other great memories that you have of Scott.
Me myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Off the top of my head, I really can't think of any right now. But I actually have to get off, Brian. Like I said, I only had 30 minutes. But
yeah, I'm sorry, we went a little over.
Nope. That is all right. I definitely enjoyed this, and I'm glad I jumped on tonight. So thank you.
But we're glad to have you. And just real quick, your Tomahawks, you start some scrimmage in December, correct?
So actually, we actually have our first practice here this weekend, and then we have our first scrimmage on the first week of December or the second week of December. I can't remember the exact date, but yeah, we're getting ready to be in the full swing of things.
And then when does your regular season start?
First or second week of March. The schedule hasn't came out yet, so I'm not exactly sure when our opening week is going to be, but it's usually the first week of March.
Awesome. Timmy, we appreciate you coming on and sharing your thoughts about Scott. We appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Have a good one, buddy.
Hey, see you guys.
All right, that's Timmy Beck, former Mifflin County track and football standout. talking about Scot Sechler. Unfortunately, we had a couple other guests, and he mentioned one, Ian McGinnis, that was supposed to join us, but they couldn't make it at the last minute. So it was just us. But I enjoyed talking to Timmy. How about you, Ken?
Oh, definitely, definitely.
So I'll ask you that question then before we go on and spend a couple minutes on football before we get out of here. Uh, do you have any other memories of Sechler that stand out for you?
Just that at the end of the last time we played them with the special needs, he came up to me and he said, "You know what?" He said, "This was the most fun we've had all season." He said, "We really enjoyed this, and we got to continue to do it." And those were, the last words that we said about playing each other, and we kind of missed them this year with everything. But my kids loved them. They love them like crazy, and some of them that remember him and stuff, they were hurting too whenever they found out. So he touched a lot of people's lives, and I was glad to have those moments to remember him by when we played him.
Yeah, and he, I don't think he gets enough credit for the football. I mean, they only talk about a lot of people are only talking about the last year, 0-10. Well, my God, he was battling his illness,
Oh,
and
exactly.
but I think he came at the right time for the program, as Tish said to me. They were down as far as emotionally, mentally. They needed a spark, and he gave them a spark and brought everybody up. And they went to the playoffs a couple times on his watch, and he just and he sparked energy and life into that program.
Well, even after last season where they didn't win a game, he said, "Watch out for them next year." He said, "There's a lot of young players." He said, "I look for good things to happen," and he was right.
He was dead on, absolutely. And yeah, we're gonna miss him.
Mm-hmm.
Great guy, great human being. He was something special, and I'm glad we did this tribute to him tonight.
Definitely.
And we thank you, Scot, for everything you brought into our lives, and we're gonna miss you, buddy.
Yes.
You went too soon.
Yeah.
All right, enough of the sadness. He wouldn't want us to be that way. Let's close this out. We got a little more time, but instead of having the high school football show, as we said on Thursdays, we're going to do a little mini version of it tonight with the playoffs. And we have the first example. We will start with Mifflin County. Last week came up just short, lost 31-24 to Altoona in a game I think, Mr. Barner, you were there, they should have won.
Oh, I had the privilege of being at that game, and I will tell you what, the kids were phenomenal. They played their hearts out. They faced adversity, not only with Scott's passing, but early in the first quarter, Deacon Schaefer went down and was out for the rest of the game. And the kids were resilient. They kept fighting. They kept battling, and it went down to the final minutes of the game. And they came up just a little short, but everybody that's a Husky fan should feel very proud of the quality kids and how they fought to the end. It was just a great game. And like I said, if this came up a little short, but that really maybe sets the tone for next year, something to spring off the diving board with, for going into next season. Yeah, very inspiring.
Yeah, I think the thing that changed the game was the kickoff that they failed to cover.
Right.
And I don't know what happened there. how they could not cover the ball, but that was it. Altoona had just scored. They kick the ball off. Mifflin County doesn't cover it. They get it and score twice in that quick span before halftime, and that was the game right there.
Yeah, it was, but they battled back though. They had a chance to cash it in. They were driving late in the game, but Altoona made the plays that they needed to make, and were able to punch it in, I believe, with just seconds left to go in the game.
I am a little concerned. I got to be honest about Deacon Schaefer because he's a wrestler.
Well,
he's a good one, and we need him for wrestling season. Have you heard anything about how serious the knee is?
Well, here's some good news. From what I understand, he actually was thinking about going back in that game, but I believe, from what I understand, he didn't want to take a chance on Altoona going at him, and maybe him doing more damage to the knee. So I believe right now it's just a sprain. But I
hope you are right, my friend. We need him on the wrestling mat.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, he was walking around during the game and went back in the tunnel, came out, just couldn't go, but he was walking a little gingerly, but it didn't look like it was a major injury.
Right.
Yeah, so
they had a good season, 6-5 winning season.
Mm-hmm.
Their big three offensively: Landon Eichhorn, Isaac Wilt. No, Isaac's gone, isn't he?
I believe he graduates. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, but they do have him and Schaefer back.
Mm-hmm.
So, two of the big three are back, but they also have who had a great season, Parker Kearns.
Yes, he came
wide out. The Renninger kid, Reagan Ettinger's gone, but I think Travis Renninger's back. So yeah, the future looks pretty good here for the Huskies.
Almost definitely. I think a lot of the offensive line is back too, if I'm not.
You need that. No doubt. And Sechler, we'll get back to him, ended up being right, because he told me that too. He said, when they went through the 0-10, our offensive line is young. When they get older, they're going to, in another year of seasoning, they're going to start pounding people.
Mm-hmm.
And they did a fairly good job. And, there was some people after the first game, including myself, that thought, man, they don't really stand a chance against Altoona, and they proved me wrong. They were in there and should have won the thing.
Yeah.
Now, Altoona's reward for beating Mifflin County is a date with the, and we know who. It's a date with the State College Little Lions, 10-0, ranked 4th in the state in 6A. And I honestly believe, I was talking to Dave Berman about this recently, I think State College could go to the finals.
The way they're building up, it looks like it's poor Altoona, huh? They barely survived Mifflin County, and then they got to go up against a State College team that just had a bye week. So
yeah, a week of rest.
Yeah,
and Matt Lintel give him a week to prepare.
Mm-hmm.
But I really do. I looked at the state brackets there that are out now. You could see them on PA Football News. I see only two teams, North Allegheny and Harrisburg.
Mm-hmm.
They have a chance. I don't get North Allegheny in the quarters, and I believe in Harrisburg in the semis.
So there's a chance at the Harrisburg rematch, huh?
Yeah, I think it will be. And that'll be interesting to see, because you remember the first time they won 20-6, but 6 Harrisburg players were suspended, including starting quarterback Sean Lee. But State College, Deontay Sheffy, Dante Nastasi, Finn Fermanic, their defense, they've just been dominant all season.
Mm-hmm.
in District 6. Playing a tough schedule in the Mid-Penn Commonwealth with Central Dauphin, Cumberland Valley, Harrisburg. Just tough. They're seasoned, they're ready. I think this is going to be ugly. I think this is going to be all State College. I'm going to say 45-7. What do you say, Kenny?
I was going to say it's going to be a rout. I was going to say 35-7.
All right, we're close there. Next up, they had a bye last week. The Juniata Indians, 4A playoff, state playoff, 7-3, take on DuBois, 5-5 up in DuBois. They are hosting the District 9 champions because they're the only team in District 9, I believe, that's 4A. Juniata had a bye in the district playoffs because Bellefonte and Johnstown did not enter. This year is it's defense for the Indians.
Mm-hmm.
That's propelled them all year. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, they've done it with or without Aaron Zeller for the last 2 or 3 games. So they're learning to play without him, and then once they get him back, with the kids gaining confidence and him coming back, it's going to get even more dominant, I think, than what it has been. They allowed, what did you say, 85 points all season, or?
Yeah, I think it's 85 or 88, somewhere around there. They're only giving up on average 8 points a game.
Mm.
And I have to be frank with you, I don't know too much about DuBois.
Yeah, from what I heard, that they're not their regular dominant. Usually when you hear about DuBois, they're having great seasons, but not a 500 season for a program like that. So I think Juniata, has what it takes to go on the road after the season that they have, and to dominate.
I agree. If DuBois has any advantage, it's that they host.
Right.
And
right.
Juniata has to make the long drive up there.
But that's what's great about the Juniata fans, man. They follow their team everywhere. So I wouldn't be too surprised if it's 50-50 with the with the attendance, with the way that
it stinks, though. I know you've made that drive too. I can't stand that drive.
Yeah, it's brutal.
It's you're on the interstate and it's so boring.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yep.
So nothing but straight. So, what are your thoughts? Prediction of that game?
Well, I think that Juniata is going to come away with the win. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. I'm going to say 24-14 Juniata.
Yeah, I think a lot depends too on if Aaron Zeller's back. But as we talked about last week, that Hutchinson kid had 128 yards in their season ender against Susquehanna. So they found somebody to replace the running. But as you talked about last week, Aaron Zeller's their leading guy on defense too.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm with you. I think their defense is going to do it, and I'm going to say 21-14. Indians move on. All right, last week, wow, Penns Valley, 55 points on Mount Union, beat them 55-7, and their partners in crime, we're going to talk about it because they're going to meet. Bald Eagle area smashed Bellwood Annis 45-19, and now I think the game of the week in District 6, buddy, 2A semifinals, 9-2 Penns Valley, 8-3 Bellefonte. They met back in September. Bald Eagle 8-3. They met back in September. Bald Eagle won that 42-27. But as you told me, you were there, Kenny, and that game was a lot closer than the final score.
Yeah, going into the fourth quarter, I believe it might have been tied or close, very close. And the Rams defense played were worried about the pass. And on 2 different occasions, Trey Green broke off long runs and ended up those two were the game winners for Bald Eagle. So, man, this is one of those ones that you just wish that they would have just saved for a championship game, because this one, it's a shame that either team has to bow out this early, because they've both come a long way, and especially Penns Valley, they're actually peaking at the right time. Not that Bald Eagle's not, but I mean, it just seems like after that Tyrone win, man, the sky's the limit for these guys, and they've been playing with the motivation of getting these guys once again, getting Bald Eagle, and it should be one of those epic battles.
Yeah, and they're both on winning streaks. If I'm not mistaken, Penns Valley's won, counting the playoffs, 6 in a row, and Bald Eagles won 7 in a row. Correct?
Yes. Yep.
So something's got to give there between those two. Both got, they're so much alike. We were talking before we went on the air. So much alike. Both got good young quarterbacks. Jackson Roaming for the Rams, Carson Nagel for the Eagles. They got big-time receivers. Running game with Trey Green, Bald Eagle, Ty Watson for Penns Valley. And underrated, they both got tough defenses too.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and very opportunistic defenses as well. They're good for a big turnover, or a big interception when they need it. It's they're pretty much automatic lately.
And like we said, they almost are mirror images. They both run spread offenses doing those little bubble screens out to the receivers. Now they can go deep, but they like to pick and peck, down the field.
Both quarterbacks are also pretty mobile too, and they're not afraid to just tuck it in and run.
So who do you like in this one? I'm putting you on the spot. I know you're going to cover it.
This is
so if Jesse Nagel or Marty Tobias are listening, apologize right now, and then just give me your pick.
This is one of those, like, in betting terms, it would be like a toss-up. And boy, I don't know, because this is a tough one. This is probably the toughest one I've had to say all year. But
now you can give the home field advantage to the Rams,
right?
Wait, did they play the first game at Spring Mills or Wingate? Do you remember?
Spring Mills. This is a rematch completely. Same.
Okay.
Everything. I'm gonna have to say. I'm gonna say Bald Eagle by 1.
Ooh, you're gonna have to face Marty Tobias if he heard you.
This is,
I like it too. Man, this is gonna be a great game. I wished I could be there, actually. I'm gonna maybe check around. Hopefully, somebody's streaming it. Now that game was moved to tomorrow, right?
Right. Bald Eagle actually is going to be streaming it live.
Okay, where at?
Yeah, that's on Eagle Ambassadors. I think you go on their website, and you can get on it from there.
You go on Bald Eagle Area's website.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, you're good. I want to watch that. Wave at me on the stream. So you said by 1. Do you got a score, or are you just going to say by 1?
I'm going to say 49-48.
Wow, you're thinking offense.
I'm thinking offense is going to light it up.
I think it's going to be close too, but I think a little bit lower. I think both, even though they got the powerful offenses, I think both these teams know each other. I think the defenses are going to be ready. I'm going to say 27-23 Bald Eagle area. See, I don't have to see Marty Tobias tomorrow. So, also, before we wrap up, you were at your the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Of the Central Keystone League at Mitchell Field over the weekend. And tell us a little bit about it.
I'll tell you what, to watch the future of the Mifflin County Huskies and the Juniata Indians, there's a lot to be excited about. there was the championship game for the Pee-wees that had Kish against Juniata was one that went into overtime before it was settled, and it would be Kish, or it would be the Indians that came out, Kish Indians that came out on top by 1 point. It was a heck of a game. It was very low scoring in the first half, but things really blew up in the second half, and two good programs, traditionally strong programs, battling each other. It was one of those where you hated to see either team come up with a loss, and you wish they could end it in a tie, because it was that good of a game.
Wow.
And, then on Sunday night, the Burnham Bulldogs capped off an undefeated season, and they defeated an upstart Kish team that, according to their coach, no one really expected them to be back into the Super Bowl. And the Bulldogs got up early, and Kish made a couple of late tries to try to get into the game, but the Bulldogs had it from beginning to end and capped off the undefeated season. So
yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say it was really fun to see these talents, even through the other bowl games that led up to that. There's going to be a lot of talent come up through, and even Coach Breon and some of his coaches were there to watch some of these kids play and get to see what they have coming.
Well, that's good he was there. But I know Anthony Everly, he's recruiting kids from Philly and all that stuff. Just kidding. Everybody knows that. I hope they know that. Anthony the recruiter. So, you also didn't your special needs play a game?
Oh, yes, they did. We played the Honorary Wrestling Federation, Matt Silks' independent wrestler, professional wrestlers. And the kids did a great job. They won 21-6. And it was one of those games, too, that we played with a total team effort, and a lot of players that normally do a good job. Some of them stepped up even and made even more stronger plays, and to keep the other team off the board. And it was great to see. They had a ball, and the wrestlers were great to our kids, and another season in the books for the Bulldogs. It was another great season.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you done?
Yep, we that was our last game. Now we won't probably have another one until August of next year. So little time to rest and regroup for next year.
All right. Well, maybe in the off season, you and I can go into the Honorary Wrestling Federation. We'll be a tag team. The overweight, out of shape sports writers. That's what we'll call ourselves. What do you think?
Yeah, that'll work.
All right. Well, that's going to about wrap it up. We want to thank everybody for showing up tonight.
Yes, thank you.
For the Scot Sechler tribute and for our little football show, because we're not having it tomorrow night. If you want to go to the viewing tomorrow, it is tomorrow at Calvary Bible Church. You can be there from 2 to 6, and then after that is the service at 6 o'clock for Mr. Sechler, and we're going to miss him, but we're going to celebrate his life all the time and what he meant to us and how he influenced us. And we thank you for listening. And no high school football show tomorrow because of that. That's why we had the mini one here. We will be back next Wednesday with the press box, and we'll get a guest for you. We haven't figured it out yet, but we'll get one. Kenny, any last words, my friend?
I just want to say thanks everybody again for listening, and I was very honored to be a part of this radio show or this podcast tonight. Just be good to everybody.
You bet. I agree with that. That's awesome. All right, that's going to about wrap it up for Kenny Varner. I'm Brian Carson. Thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you again next week on the Press Box.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.